So I've just completed arguably one of the most unique cruises I have ever taken, a transatlantic cruise on board the world's newest cruise ship, the MSC World America. And in this video, I'm going to share my entire experience with you. Now, before we sail into this video, quick disclaimer, I was invited directly by MSC to sail on board the brand new MSC World America before it was available to the general public, which honestly was a really amazing and cool opportunity because not only was I one of the first passengers to sail on this brand new cruise ship, I also got to check out the food, the attractions, and the entertainment, all of which I am going to outline in this video. That being said, I do want to make it very clear that this video is not going to be my official review of the MSC World America cruise ship, because I was on board this beautiful ship for a whopping 18 days, which included 2 sailings, the transatlantic as well as a celebratory sailing that actually had passengers on board, because believe it or not, during the transatlantic, excluding the crew, there were literally only a couple hundred people on board, where we got exclusive private access to all of the pretty stuff that the MSC World America has to offer, which I will be outlining in this video, which I think you will still find interesting. So be on the lookout for my final review coming up shortly after this video is posted, and let's go ahead and get into it. Starting out with an overview of the brand new MSC World America, it is owned by the 3rd largest cruise line in the entire world, MSC Cruises. It will be launching in the beginning of April of 2025. It has 22 decks, hosts just over 6,700 passengers at full capacity, 2,100 crew on board. It has 20 bars, 6 pools, 14 hot tubs, 19 restaurants, the tallest dry slide at sea, as well as a new insane swing attraction known as the Cliffhanger, all of which we will go over, of course, in this video, and much, much more. In order to board the world's newest cruise ship, I would have to take a little journey, a flight out of Miami, Florida, over to Saint Nazaire, France, which is where the shipyard that is responsible for building the brand new MSC World America is located. Now, over the years, I had been to this shipyard on several occasions. However, this experience definitely was unique and special because it would be my first time boarding a cruise ship from this shipyard. In order to board the MSC World America, there would be a check-in process similar to if you were to be taking a regular cruise out of a terminal. Things were a little different, but there were a lot of similarities. I would pass through security, get my cruise card, and just like that, I was on my way on board the MSC World America. Once on board, the first thing I did was check out my cabin to drop off my bags. I will be staying in a deluxe balcony with a promenade view toward the aft or back of the ship. This would be one of the first times I will be a passenger in one of these styles of cabins, because typically when I hear the word balcony, I'm thinking ocean view. However, this balcony did provide a very unique experience and the best of both worlds. Not only would I get a nice look of the jaw drop slide, I'd also get a nice view of the ocean off to the side as well, being that I was in the back or aft of the ship. It was a cool view and something that I quickly fell in love with. Once I dropped my luggage off, I did of course explore the brand new MSC World America, which I will outline a lot more in my final review, so make sure you guys stay tuned. However, I do have to admit, the most appealing and aesthetically pleasing locations, in my opinion, on board that caught my eye immediately were, of course, the Galleria area as well as the promenade. I feel like I could stay there literally all day and still find it enjoyable. Before we would depart the Saint Nazaire shipyard and officially start our transatlantic journey from France to Miami, Florida, as you can imagine, there were a lot of important people running around all over the place. There were ceremonies going on. However, when we did sail away, it may not have been a traditional sail away party, but it was definitely something magical. All the crew were outside, and it was just a beautiful moment that I can't even put into words. Once we set sail, I did get the opportunity to be one of the first people to experience the MSC Yacht Club. This is the ship within a ship concept on board MSC cruise ships, where you are immersed in luxury that is exclusive only to suites guests. Inside the MSC Yacht Club, aside from the suites guests obviously having their own private, exclusive, luxurious area, they have a personal concierge desk to address any questions they may have or book any type of reservations they might like on board, as opposed to having to go all the way downstairs to the general guest services area. I also had the opportunity to check out the MSC Yacht Club lounge as well as the dining area just above it, and I do have to say that area is absolutely beautiful. It's magical and definitely luxurious. They have a pianist playing, beautiful views, and I completely understand why there are some MSC Yacht Club guests that stay in that area almost exclusively for the entire cruise. I also, of course, took a gander at a couple of the suites in the MSC Yacht Club, like the Royal Suite, the Duplex Suite, and the largest suite on board, the Owner's Suite. As many of you know, I did have the honor and privilege to personally experience the MSC Yacht Club on board the MSC Seashore back in 2024, and it was hands down one of the greatest experiences I had ever had. I felt luxurious, I felt important, and if somebody wants to take a dive into the luxury life, I would highly recommend the MSC Yacht Club. Great experience overall. Oh yeah, one last thing about the MSC Yacht Club.
Whatever you do, do not miss high tea.
It's a luxurious English tea experience that I would highly recommend. They have it during sunset. You got tea and snacks. It is overall a great moment to have if you are staying in the MSC Yacht Club. Moving on, let's talk about the food, the snacks, the delectables on board the MSC World America. Because being that I was one of the first passengers on board, naturally, I got to be one of the first passengers to check out some of the new options on this ship. And all I got to say is, wow, I was shocked. The first restaurant that I honestly did not want to stay away from was the All-Star Sports Bar. While they did have some darts and all types of games available there, obviously the stars of the show was the food and burgers they had available. They had something called a black and blue burger. I actually went over there and ate there 5 times and ordered the same exact burger. They definitely, in my opinion, encompass somewhat of the American culture, being that it is the MSC World America. And well, that was a place that I found extremely addicting in the back of the ship in the promenade. I also indulged at the Paxos Greek Tavern. As you can see, I was given a full spread, and everything on the menu that I tried, which I believe I did get a little taste, a little morsel of everything on the menu. It was all absolutely delicious. The restaurant itself looked absolutely beautiful. You could see that the Greek influence was definitely there. They have outside dining options. They have a to-go window and even an upstairs seating area. I was also able to experience the brand new, highly anticipated Italy restaurant on board the MSC World America. Now, this restaurant is brand new to MSC. It's an Italian restaurant, and while there's a lot of excitement about it, I was also very curious because as somebody that does travel a lot, I go to Italy a lot, and I do understand when it comes to certain types of food from other cultures, in particular Italian food, it can be often difficult to find the right taste and texture and feel of the food.
However, as you can imagine, MSC Cruises is an Italian cruise line, which means the food is going to be made to perfection and even give off the feel that you are dining in an Italian restaurant right in the country of Italy.
It was absolutely delicious, and of course, I would recommend this restaurant to everyone. I also got to experience a restaurant that I'm very familiar with when it comes to MSC Cruises, Butcher's Cut, aka the steakhouse on board. I'm an absolute sucker and in love with surf and turf. I can eat it every single day and not complain, and the taste over there was delicious. The extras that we had in terms of appetizers and dessert, also to die for over in that particular restaurant. I did experience pizza and burger as well in the Galleria area, and in the best of ways, that place is absolutely dangerous. One thing that is universally well known about MSC is that they have their pizza down to a science. I would arguably say they have the best pizza at sea, and I wouldn't even argue it. It's a absolute fact. The burgers are done right, and it's in a convenient location. I went there a couple times. However, I was trying my best to avoid getting off of this ship after all these days at sea, weighing an additional 10 to 15 pounds. Another location that was really hard for me to stay away from was Sweet Temptations, located in the back or aft of the ship in the promenade area, because you can walk in there, and as you can see immediately, the place is very, very aesthetically pleasing and colorful and bright, but you can get customized ice cream and milkshakes. I had one of the milkshakes, and it was probably the largest milkshake I have ever had, but it tastes so good and it looks so good. I didn't want to not finish all of it. Last but certainly not least for this portion of the video, because there are a million restaurants on board, I did check out the buffet area, the Mercato Buffet. Over there, that place is obviously going to have a massive variety of food, from your burgers to your pizzas to your fries to your pastas. And of course, they do serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner. During my 9 days at sea as the MSC World America crossed the Atlantic from Europe to the Bahamas, I got to be one of the first passengers on board this brand new cruise ship to indulge and experience some of the brand new thrills and attractions. For example, of course, you have the brand new cliffhanger on board the MSC World America, and I got an exclusive opportunity to literally be one of the first passengers to ever try it. And as somebody that is a little bit of an adrenaline junkie, I was excited to give it a try, but it was something that made me feel not scared, maybe kind of in that area, because wow, once this swing lifted up and put us over the water, it was something that I didn't think I was going to not be prepared for. It is a thrill, and it's something I recommend to everyone if you go on board the MSC World America. By the way, I have no shame in saying that being not only one of the first passengers to sail on board the MSC World America, but one of the very few during this transatlantic sailing, I did get to experience the cliffhanger more than once. Well, in fact, 11 times to be specific. Also in that area known as the harbor, by the way, on the MSC World America, you do have the ropes course, you have the jaw drop, you have a bunch of water slides. It's a pretty cool area, and I do believe that whether you are a kid or even an adult, you are going to have a great time in that area. I know I certainly did. I also got to experience the bumper cars, one of my absolute favorite things to do. I believe I tried that about 6 or 7 times, at least till I ended up getting dizzy from getting bumped around so much. They also transformed that exact same area, which is also tripling as a basketball court, into a skating rink. I felt like I was in the Roll Bounce movie. Then, of course, you have your arcades. One is on the upper deck, and the other one is all the way down on deck 6 in the Galleria area. I also can't forget the Formula One racing simulator. It's definitely a cool experience, and without a doubt, an MSC favorite. Now, before we sail into our next category, I do want to talk about a couple things that I found extremely unique and cool when it comes to this specific transatlantic sailing, because it was unlike anything I had ever experienced. For starters, there was a Guinness World Record taking place. The longest line of Lego ships ever done. That was something that I didn't really expect to see in a transatlantic, but it was cool to experience and be a part of because I got to put down my own ship. In the coolest of ways during this transatlantic, I often felt like I had the entire ship to myself with just a couple friends to indulge in whatever I wanted. I can get a haircut whenever I want. I can get ice cream whenever I want. I can go to the arcade whenever I want it. That's something that most people will never get to experience, and I would love to do it again if it was possible. I never got tired of it. Now, let's go ahead and shift focus to the entertainment and events on board the MSC World America, because I'm going to elaborate on this a lot more in my final review, but MSC has definitely stepped it up a notch. As far as the shows, I got to see Queens, which is something I honestly think the Americans are going to love very much because it is a giant rock and roll show, and one of the 2 large theaters on board. They got one in the back and one in the front, and that show absolutely blew me away. They also have Hall of Fame, and those shows honestly do not disappoint at all. I was also extremely happy to see that MSC finally has a comedy club on board. This is something that a lot of people, myself included, have been asking about literally for years. The venue looks absolutely amazing and stunning, and it looks like a place that a lot of people are going to get a lot of good laughs at. Over in the promenade, there is a cool parade that takes place with a ton of circus performers, something you definitely do not want to miss. And during the cruise in the back or aft area on the promenade, I don't know if they're going to change this because typically it's in another location like the top pool deck. They did have the white party, and it was cool because I got a chance to hang out with the crew. They also got a chance to experience the MSC World America while there weren't a lot of passengers on board, and it was definitely a party and a nice change. I was able to see everything from my cabin. It was a cool look. It's something that I'll be looking forward to when I do go back on board the MSC World America. There is also Luna Park, which is a multi-purpose event space. However, the coolest events that I got to experience while on board the MSC World America were the party nights. One was a winter type night. I forgot the exact name. It was a praise. I apologize for butchering it, but that was so much fun. Of course, I had to dance a little bit. And then they also had a Miami Heat night, which is appropriate considering the MSC World America is going to be sailing out of Miami. Definitely 2 events you do not want to miss. During this exclusive transatlantic sailing, of course, there was a lot of work to be done, but I did find some downtime, and since there weren't a lot of passengers on board, going anywhere such as the hot tubs or pools was Something truly unique. I felt like I had my own exclusive areas just to relax and take in the beautiful views, like over at the Botanic Garden. I stayed there for hours at one point, just taking in the beautiful area and just hanging out with myself, my thoughts, and of course, this beautiful area. Now, after 9 long but beautiful days at sea, we would finally hit land, specifically Ocean Cay, MSC's private island over in the Bahamas. I think I speak for everybody on board when I say that we were happy to go from France, which, to be honest with you, was a little chilly. I'm not a huge fan of the cold. I am a tropical man. That's why I live in Florida, to the sunshine and beautiful beaches over at Ocean Cay. I also have to point out that, once again, there weren't a lot of passengers on board, only a couple hundred, which means most of the time it felt like I had the entire island to myself. Talk about paradise. We also had on the island, I guess you would call it a crew party, which was really cool to be a part of because I do have a lot of friends that are working on the MSC World America, and it was nice to not only see them get some fresh air and enjoy the island, but hang out with them and just simply have a good time. Eventually, it would be time to get back on board, leave this beautiful tropical paradise in the Bahamas, and head to Miami for the beautiful arrival of the world's newest, highly most anticipated cruise ship, the MSC World America. We would, of course, arrive in Port Miami, the new home for the brand new MSC World America, early in the morning. And once we were docked, I would have to disembark the ship for a short time for customs and immigration purposes because I did come from another country, that of which being France, back over to the United States. However, once I got out of the terminal, which is brand new, by the way, I was able to, of course, get back on within about an hour or so. However, that will be in my next video. This was definitely a unique and fun experience. I am nothing but grateful. MSC Cruises, thank you so much for inviting me to come along and join the transatlantic crossing and arrival of the world's newest cruise ship, the MSC World America, and hopefully down the road, I get a chance to do it again. Now, as we begin to close out this video, there are a few, I want to say, honorable mentions that I did enjoy as far as experiences during this transatlantic on board the MSC World America. For example, it was nice to get some pretty good coffee over at the Emporium on Deck 8 over in the Promenade area. Also, in the very, very back on Deck 8 in the Promenade area, there is a nice hangout spot and viewing area that I honestly didn't want to stay away from. I was there in the morning time, the afternoon, and during the evening. At night, it's just something magical about the lighting over in that area. It's a little weird, but personally for me, it just kind of gave off a very unique but epic feel. Also, do keep in mind, and I am going to make a note to throw into my next video, that I was on board this ship with almost no passengers for roughly 2 weeks, and I still did not have the time to do everything that this beautiful ship, the MSC World America, has to offer. It's crazy to think that there's so many bars, so many restaurants, so many venues to explore, which I did try my best to knock out throughout the entirety of the 18 days. However, this is exactly why 2 videos are needed for this brand new cruise ship. Now, I do hope that all of you found this video enjoyable. I know it's different than my final review that I normally put out, but I genuinely had a good time on this transatlantic sailing and bringing in a brand new cruise ship. It's something I've never experienced before, and I do hope that I am going to be doing more of these, fingers crossed. But of course, my final review will be out soon, outlining my personal experiences and opinions of this brand new cruise ship. All the more reason for you guys to hit that like button on this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and of course, know as usual, I love and appreciate every single one of you. I'll see you later. Take it easy.